biggest electronic music convention, the Amsterdam Dance Event. This is the Digital Groove ADE Special. The Digital Groove.
Welcome back to the streets of Amsterdam. It is the ADE Special 2024 Part 2 tonight, which of course means we did Part 1 last week. So if you missed it or you want to hear it all over again, go back and check it out on the RT Radio player. It is up there right now. You can listen to that. And also on our Mixcloud, some amazing guests and indeed chats and music last week on the show. But this week we have another 2 hours bumper to bumper. Lots to get through tonight. Loads of chats. Loads more interesting stuff to get your ears around. I'm going to be chatting to Andy Reid. First off tonight, we're going to be going then to Joe B for a slightly longer and great, interesting historical chat about King Street music, his career, his trajectory through the New York house scene, all from the 90s right through till today, and that's to coincide with the King Street movie that was premiered here on Thursday. We're going to be chatting to Mousse T just after the Fool's Paradise party. I did get him. We're going to be chatting to DJ Passion, our dear friend Matthew Brady, his first ADE, so cut up with DJ Passion here at the ADE down at Rush Hour Records when I was shopping for records, would you believe. And we're going to be chatting to Stacy Kidd as well, all to come on the show tonight. In the meantime, I'm going to go to Andy Reid first. This was Andy, who notoriously, over the years of the ADE shows that we've done, has been left with a shell of a voice, a fraction of a voice left. I always try and get Andy while he has his voice left, so I dragged him out of his own party before he played, and I had a chat with him down at the Phoenix Music Party outside the Hoxton. This is Thursday night at ADE.
Yeah, bring back the good old days of ADE when we used to have to do Andy's interview through sign language. Which
there was a transcript that came along with it, so you could figure out what I was saying.
Anyway, we learned the hard way and the long way round doing this over year after year after year. It is our annual guest, Andy Reid, of course. We're talking to you in fine voice, might I say.
For ADE, very good mood.
It's lovely to see you again, mate. It really is.
Yes,
Andy Reid, welcome back to the ADE Special this year.
Always a pleasure, Niall, and always a pleasure being part of it. And also always great to see you, and always a thanks for all the support of all our records that we do over the course of the year.
I know since we spoke literally a year ago, pretty much to the day, you've been doing a bit of travelling around. You were in Sydney and Australia in March?
Tour in March that was absolutely amazing, and in the works to go back next year, so I guess it went all right. Someone liked it apparently, so that was good. And been in Paris, all over the place, and Canada, back in Toronto, and staying busy, and then back here in Amsterdam again, and 2 shows this year. So tonight, right now, we're at the Hoxton for our annual thing, and then we're also doing Vic's Bar on Saturday, which should be a good time as well, with a whole bunch of different maniac DJs.
Well, the trip's good. I mean, you know, that's a pretty extensive kind of Europe and/or Southern Hemisphere tour for you.
It was amazing. Like really, that for us is the next step in the evolution of what we're doing, is to become more and more international, especially on the live side. You know, not only myself as an artist, but for the brand, for the label, and we are fortunate to have a lot of talented artists in a lot of different markets all over the world. So it's nice to be able to go and play alongside a bunch of people that we put their music out, and we get to go to their home turf and do shows and show what we're all about. And very fortunate to work with a lot of good people, and a lot of people throw awesome parties in their parts of the world. So it's just lucky all around. Years of hard work, and just keep going and take that next step to total global domination.
Well, we are at ADE. It is the literally. I mean, the party's actually happening inside. I was going to say right before you were. It started. It started. KPD is on at the moment. We're about to have a kind of a 3-way sandwich, which sounds highly pornographic, but that will be Seb Jr., Hatiras, and Vince Kyra. Yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah.
And then you're going to play a little later on, I presume.
Yeah, and then some guy, Todd Terry. I don't know. Never heard of him.
Todd Terry.
Apparently he's from New York.
You had built him as a different alias, hadn't you, initially, as a sort of a teaser? Is that right?
We had a bit of a thing of like, is it going to be a secret guest? Okay, we kind of DL announced it under one of his old aliases, but everything worked out. And then they're like, all right, take the curtain off, and we were able to say that
Black Riot is Todd Terry.
Black Riot is Todd Terry. For those of us who aren't old enough to remember that. So it's exciting, awesome that, you know, after all these years, we're still able to do stuff with him, and I mean, he's the man, like legend, and he's gonna bring it tonight. It's gonna be awesome. So, can't wait. Yeah, when are you gonna see him in a hotel lobby for like 200 people? It's pretty cool. That's part of the awesomeness that's ADE, right? Like,
yep, and all for free.
All for free, and seeing these amazing DJs like up close and personal, get a chance to meet everybody. It's part of what makes this week so special is that, and everyone comes here, there's sort of a lack of the pretension, because you come here knowing part of being here is just being open to meeting new people, and whether they're in the industry or not, a lot of people are much more approachable here than in other places, I find. And it kind of goes with the territory, so, and it creates a really awesome dynamic. So even if you're a fan, like, it's worth coming to Amsterdam to experience ADE, I definitely would say.
Well, bring me through sort of the last 12 months of Phoenix then, and surrounding labels. How have things been going? I mean, many new artists coming onto the roster now, or?
Not new in terms of working with us, but not new in terms of
discovering people. Yeah.
Okay. As you grow, the level of artists gets bigger, and as you get bigger artists want to work with you. And part of getting to that larger state is, working with bigger artists. So we've been very fortunate to do a lot of stuff with some awesome people. We did a record with Kasim in the last 12 months. We've had, obviously in the past, like David Penn and Todd and everyone else. So, Matai Nomich still doing stuff with us, and a bunch of other people coming on board. So the sub-labels are still kind of in their infancy, so find their way, and still a little more open to newer people, but it's one of those things where we're very fortunate to have a really good relationship with a lot of really established, awesome people, and those are the people that we are working with. So it's not that we're adverse to taking new people, but it's like the record's got to be,
of course,
really good.
Yeah, of course,
really good, not just okay. So it makes it a little more challenging, but it's just part of the evolution of things, and there's other labels that are coming up that have taken our place in that as we've grown up and expanded. Someone else has come in and taken our place, and that'll always be the case. It's always sort of a step ladder effect of the hierarchy of everybody, so to speak. So but it's nice because we're trying to get to that upper levels, and part of that is unfortunately it makes it a little more challenging to work with people with lower fan bases, because we need to have as much exposure as possible, because we're also putting a lot more investment into the tracks that we're doing. So I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does, absolutely. No, it does. But in regards to your kind of evangelistic trip to Australia and, of course, France as well, I mean, did you find that the kind of awareness of the label is sort of getting a higher profile now as well?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't I wouldn't be able to do those things if the profile wasn't what it was. Regardless of having personal connections, it's also business, and the clubs that I'm playing at, they don't necessarily. I didn't have relationships with the people there. But what we've been able to do with the profile, with the label, and with myself was enough that they felt like it was something that was adding on to their programming, and there was a benefit to them, and the doors opened. Then we had to show up and deliver, but I think we did all right. So they always say if you're asked back, then you did a pretty good job.
Yeah, absolutely, of course, no, absolutely. So just as a label boss, just curious, certainly a bit of a sidetrack on this one, but how are you finding the likes of, say, sales through the likes of channels like TrackSource versus streaming and stuff like that nowadays for a different generation of people who are consuming music?
I mean, to be very
how does it translate for Phoenix?
For perfectly honest, downloads are DJs. That's it.
Okay.
DJs are the only people that download.
That's
music.
it.
That's it.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, I suppose, in the bigger picture. But so therefore, is your kind of, I'll tell you what I'm really getting at, because it's something that I don't know. We're kind of old school, and I think you probably feel a little bit the same way. But you got to adapt because you're a label owner, right?
Yeah.
So I'm downloading promos now, and the extended version is 3 minutes.
Well,
the radio version's a minute and a half.
That's ridiculous. I'm old. And
what's that about?
That's ridiculous. It's that's not an extended version. So just stop. But that's just the trends ebb and flow and all that. For that, there's still, and then whatever kind of music will put out an 8-minute version of their Afro House track. So it's just people ebb and flow and all that. So I mean, the thing is too with the DJ technology is if you have a 8-bar intro outro, you can loop it and make it as long as you want. So the days of having to have the space because it was on vinyl,
I know.
Couldn't do anything. Now with the technology, you have a lot of options. You can make your own. And oftentimes, if I get something that I feel is too short, I'll just make my own re-edit and just chop it up and extend it out anyway. It's the way I want it. So I just think, I don't worry about that stuff. It's just like, if the guts of the track are awesome, the guts of the track are awesome, and you'll if you're a good DJ, you'll figure out how to work it into your style. At the same time, too, like I appreciate the short versions on Spotify, because when you're listening to something,
you don't 32 bars of beat.
Yeah, I don't need a 4-minute intro, because I'm not mixing it, right? That's for DJs.
No.
And when I'm listening to something, and I actually don't mind having like a 3.5 minute or 3-minute version of something that just gets in, does the bulk of the part of the record that I want to hear, and then I don't need the intro outro, because that's not what the environment is. But for DJs, obviously that's where the extended mixes are important, and like I said, like you can tailor stuff to the way you want it. So it's just things change, people get annoyed, whatever. It is what it is, and like oftentimes the youth drives a lot of pop culture.
But they also drive the technology culture. That's kind of what I'm curious with from a label point of view. Like, you have to do silly TikTok videos now. Do you have to do kind of kind of content as well?
I probably should, but I don't. But I probably should. I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, if you put out good music, it will find its way. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the tracks are good. That's what really, really matters, is if the records are good. I just stick to the adage. The thing that served me the best is to put out the best music I possibly can put out, and the rest will find its way. And I don't know, maybe that's silly, I don't know, but it's worked.
Listen, if it's worked, great.
It ain't broken, don't fix it.
Exactly. It just seems such a strangely challenging world in the music scene now, with just a generation of people who didn't operate the same way we operate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or when we were that age.
But now you also have kids coming out and they're buying vinyl and like doing.
That's true as well.
And they're going back. Like, there's a whole cassette revolution going on right now. Like, so I don't know, man. Like, who knows? Like, that's what we come back to. If the music is good, it will find its way to however it needs to find its way. And that's the most important thing, is just good tracks. Because if you need to chop a 2-minute version, so be it. Like, or someone will do it for you and put it on TikTok. Like if they like the record, they're gonna exploit the record. It will find its way. So yeah, just for me, it's just about the quality. Is just try to put out the best stuff you can and figure the rest out.
Well, busy, because I know even from getting the promos, there's still this constant flow of good music coming out there.
Well, we try.
From you guys.
We try our best.
Yeah.
So.
And the associated labels, if I may say so as well, like Space Disco and all that kind of thing that you look after. So, busy. What Phoenix tune are you looking forward the most to playing tonight?
Well, I have a VIP edit of the latest track, Corriente, that no one has, that we're hanging on to for next summer, but
okay.
I get to play it. So.
Okay, well, we won't get to play that, unfortunately, because I was going to lead into that and go.
You can play the original.
Okay, we play the original.
Also amazing.
We can do that. We can do that, but you have to be here to hear the VIP version.
The VIP mix, yeah. Okay. Well, it will be up. Might be up on YouTube. We're recording everything tonight. So
okay, super.
Barring a catastrophic accident with the media equipment, we should get some stuff out of this.
Well, we'll spin that. But if people do want to watch back tonight, then by the time they listen to this, they can probably see it on YouTube, can they?
Yeah, hopefully. All things. At least on SoundCloud at the worst. So.
Okay, so you can hear it on SoundCloud, and I presume the channels are Phoenix Music.
Phoenix Music Inc.
INC, yes.
That's the same for all our socials and all our various locations. So easy to find.
Always a pleasure to chat to you. Yes. Always a pleasure to see you and hang out.
Same.
And I know we've literally dragged you out your own party, so
that's okay.
But the voice is still there. So that was the
clinging to the bottom rung.
Yeah,
of the ladder,
we got you while your larynx is still functioning.
Yep, right
well, look, good to see you, mate. And
same.
Please God, we'll be in touch before we do this again next year.
Always.
But we'll see you Saturday, and we'll see you later on as well. Anyway.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Niall.
Yo lo siento de verdad, Oriente, llegó caliente, Oriente, no me queda nada más, Oriente, llegó caliente, Oriente, yo lo siento de verdad, Oriente, Oriente, Oriente. Oriente. Corriente. 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 Lo siento de verdad. Corriente.
Now, a couple of days ago here at the ADE 2024, I went along to a screening of a movie. Yes, a movie at a music conference. Yep, it was a pretty important movie. It's called House Music Royalty, The Story of King Street Sounds. It was in association with Beatport Films and Armada Music. It was an exclusive premiere screening of a new documentary which is telling the story of how King Street Sounds changed house music forever and are pretty much 31 years now doing their thing. Well, a good friend of mine, Joe B, has been involved and was involved with King Street Sounds for many, many years. It's in fact how I met him. I'm going to be sitting down with Joe and chatting to him about his career in music and his career in New York and all that scene. Amazing story and an amazing history of music, all about King Street too. But here, in the meantime, is a little clip of what was behind the House Music Royalty Story of King Street Sounds movie.
I got to take off my glasses for this.
One of the most important dance labels to exist.
Innovators,
Passion, incredible, soulful.
NYC.
I didn't know just how many of the songs I love came through this label first.
Larry Levan was a big inspiration to Heath.
And I tell him that I'm gonna start a label called King Street Sounds.
It was a challenge.
Heath was operating out of his apartment.
I was living paycheck to paycheck.
I'm even in question. What are we doing?
I don't think I can continue to doing a label.
He never folded. He stuck it out and evolved.
One of the greatest things about the King Street catalog is just the taste level is insane. It is a cornerstone of dance music culture.
King Street was always true to the underground.
I'm hoping like I can release better stuff than ever.
King Street Sound is a label that is part of the present, the past, and the future.
Joe B, how are you?
Yeah, doing all right, man.
Welcome back.
We on the air?
We are on the air, yeah. We are on the air. You were back on the air with us.
Right on.
ADE 2024
so good to
now.
See you again, man.
Anyway, how you doing? It's Friday. I know you've been really busy, as you always are at ADE. So just real quick, what have you taken in so far?
Just basically did a whole bunch of parties. The Ultra Party, the Spotify Party, the Nexus Lounge. We did a nice interview with Barbara Tucker. And also the highlight so far has been that King Street documentary that it was so great.
Yes.
I know that you loved it and so appreciated that you were able to make it. And, to see a label like Armada, pay homage to a label like King Street, and then to get together with Beatport to really showcase a man's life's work is spectacular. And they did it in such a wonderful, wonderful way. And I was sitting next to Barbara Tucker and Ultra Nate, and the first 5 minutes, Ultra, she's bawling, and everyone's got like little tears, and
yes, it got emotional.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful. They told it well, and they're going to try to do the YouTube thing, an extended version of it, because they wanted to interview also Danny Krivit and someone else, and so can't wait for people to see it.
So it was premiered really at the ADE then. It was the first screening of it.
Yeah. They did the 2 screenings, and a lot of people, everyone clapped at the end, and they did right. They did right by him. He's probably going to be. He's in Japan at the moment, so we had to represent the good old posse.
Yeah, for sure.
This
ADE, I'm so used to, and anyone who's heard any of the ADE shows over the years are so used to really quick snap interviews, which are great, and they're on the street, and we're just catching everybody as they're going by kind of thing. But when we were hanging out last year, well after we'd had our chat, and we were just talking about some great times that you probably were there for back in New York. The stories you were telling me, I was like, You got to tell people these stories. I can't even remember what some of them were, to be honest with you. But what it kind of said to me this year was, I just wanted to have a longer chat with you, and it ties really nicely in with King Street because I know you were so involved there. So yeah, I hope that's okay. I think we can delve back a little bit into dance music culture and history.
Tap into some of the best years of my life. Surely,
there you go.
Let's go.
Well, absolutely. And this kind of hit home with me last night. I was talking to a lovely guy last night who just bumped into, as you do at ADE, outside the Hoxton, and he was from Newfoundland, top of Canada. And we just got chatting, and he said, "Hey, how long are you DJing?" And I said, 30 years. And he went, "What?" I said, "Yeah, 30 years. I started in 1993, 31 years." And he says, "Wow." He says, "I wasn't even born when you started DJing." Now, I was like, here. So that was, first of all, that was both an elation and disappointment and an anxious moment. But it did say to me there's a whole generation of people out there who know about all the music that we play nowadays, but they don't really know where it all kind of probably came from, where we started, or certainly you started back in New York and things like that. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to delve back a bit into the history, give people a bit of a background, and into you, and you've had such an amazing life in music.
It's been a fun ride so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
So far. It ain't done yet.
No, it ain't done yet, and that's what's even better about it, though. You're real time.
They're lifers. We like to call them lifers because for so long people thought dance music was a fad, and for the time that it had grown from the late 80s, I got into house music probably 88 when I was promoting for clubs in New York, and people are like, oh, it's kind of a fad, it's a fly-by-night thing, but you still have people DJing, Barbara Tucker's doing it for 40 years, Danny Krivitz DJing for 50 years, you have these people that are actual lifers, and it actually has become ingrained in the culture, and that's what I love about it so much. It actually is not a passing fad. People live their life by it. It's amazing.
Bring me back to, I suppose, the real early years of you and how you kind of ended up getting to 1988 and getting involved in this scene, I guess. But yeah, tell me a bit about your background growing up and where you came from, your childhood, all that kind of thing. How was that?
Yeah, totally. I grew up in Queens, and my sister was a big disco queen in the 70s, and she would come home every night from a record store called Jimmy's Disco Mat. After work, she would stop by there, and I remember her coming home from work, and I was watching cartoons after school, and she would be at the door with another 12-inch tucked under her arms from Jimmy's Disco Mat. And when she would go out on Saturday nights to the clubs, she would come downstairs, pageantry, in her platform shoes and her dance skin and her strawberry oil, and she would get in a fight with my mother. And
how old was she at this age?
She was like 18, 19.
And do you remember the names of these clubs? Were these the big clubs we know of now in New York? Or these just...
she went to Studio 54. She went to a lot of clubs in Long Island as well, like Focus and Channel 80. And, she would get in fights with my mother, and my mother would yell at her, "You look like a whore." She's like, "No, Mom, I'm going out."
It's the same the world over, isn't it?
Incredible. And so when she was out, I would run up, I was 8 years old, I would run up to her room, lock myself up in her room, and listen to all of her disco records. And from that moment on, I've always wanted to see my name on a record. And that's what really got me into it.
From 8 years of age?
Yeah, man. I was so fascinated by, the artwork. It's something that, we were talking about earlier. You have the artwork on a laptop, but when you see the vinyl and you actually experience it and you read the names of the people involved and you're holding it in your hands, it's a whole new experience. And it really casts a lasting effect on me. And then throughout the various stages, you grow up and listen to different modes, but I always wound up going back to electronic music.
How was the radio back then? Because I remember hearing tales of kind of it would have been I think Tony Humphries did a show back on Kiss back in those days, I guess. Did you have access to all that kind of early house music on the radio back in those days in America? What was happening?
Yeah, I mean, they had the specialty mix shows. They didn't have dance channels proper. They had, channels that they had KTU, which would play some disco, but it was mostly like recurrence. They would have the specialty mix shows on the weekends. And the pop stations, they picked up on that. And like Z100, PLJ, even like Kiss FM, they would start doing these specialty mix shows on the weekends. Sometimes they would broadcast live from, the Palladium, or, this was talking in the 90s. And so people would get, they would get exposed to a really good mix show live from the club. People like Glenn Frisha and Tony Humphries. Like Glenn was more pop dance, Tony Humphries was more house. And you really got a sense of you got a sense of dance music. You got a sense of club culture. So much so that, the closed clubs now pay homage to the clubs that were there before. The Palladium is now an NYU dorm, but on the revolving doors it says "Welcome to the Palladium." You know what I mean? The Limelight is now like a mini mall. But there is a legacy there that still kind of holds true, and people are recognizing it. And that's why I was saying that it has such ingrained into the culture that it's viable and it's valid almost. It validates it. You know what I mean? Now we have an Office of Nightlife Mayor, in New York.
That back in the day.
Before, and Giuliani was on he was on a quest to close all the clubs down. Like he wanted to Disneyfy Times Square.
This was to clean up the city.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like to experience? As a culture is kind of gathering momentum, and someone's trying to shut it down.
It was a fight. It was a constant fight. There was a cabaret law, and now the Nightlife Mayor's office did away with the cabaret law, and now they understand that nightlife brings revenue to the city, and it's a really viable resource, and especially like a city like New York that never sleeps. Give me a fucking break. It's actually recognized as a bona fide culture. And that adds some validity to it because, like we always said, dance music was always the bastard child of the music industry. Even though a lot of artists tried to get remixes on the dance chart to increase their profile. That was the most ironic thing when I was working at Billboard, was because the dance chart was the only chart in the magazine that you had rock artists, country artists, R&B artists, hip-hop artists. They all did remixes so they can get on the dance chart to increase the profile of the artist.
Would I be right in saying that was the time of the Morales mixes, the Def mixes, CJ McIntosh mixes, where they would take DJs like that?
Exactly.
Make me credible in the clubs, please.
Absolutely. Wow. Absolutely. And those were records that were only serviced to DJs. They weren't even sold.
Wow.
They weren't even sold commercially.
Okay.
Like the record labels would not release the records wherever you would sell them. And they would sometimes sell the 12 inches, whatever, but they were never really commercial. They were only for the DJs just to get onto the chart.
Wow.
This was early on.
So if you went to a club back in the day and you heard CJ McIntosh or whoever Def mix of Mariah Carey, you go, I'm going to go buy that, and you couldn't get it.
Yeah.
How bad is that?
That's incredible. And then they realized that it was a viable commodity.
Yeah.
And
it really was.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
amazing.
Going back to growing up, when you went to high school, were you kind of a music obsessive? Was that your thing, or were you a mix of sport and music? Because I remember when I went to secondary school, I very quickly just fell into music, and sport was gone. Playing football in the street was gone. It was just music. Were you kind of the same?
Yeah, pretty much. I always, music kind of, I fell back on it because it helped me through so many turbulent times of, growing up and trying to find your identity, and music was always the saving grace. It got me through so many tough times, especially house music, because it's so celebratory, it's so uplifting, it's so inspiring, and then you have the moments where you got into punk, because I was into punk, I was into industrial, I was into like kind of mechanical noise stuff, but then I always wound up going to dance music. It always wound up going back to that, so.
I'm kind of thinking back to 1988, though, that era, right? And I was much younger, obviously. I was still in what we call primary school then. And I remember the track exactly. It was S Express, Superfly Guy, which is one of my favourite tracks still. I love that track to this day. But I remember a girl in my neighbourhood walking down the street with effectively a ghetto blaster with that playing, right? Mm-hmm. And as a kid, I said, what is that? Like, what is that music? I was, what is that? Mm-hmm. And she said, it's acid music. And that's what she said, which it isn't. But, that's what I understood. I said, acid music? What is acid music? But what I remember is everyone was so confused, certainly where I grew up, around that time with this new type of music. Was there an element of that back in New York, or did people know what to do with it initially?
That's a
really because it was coming from disco, I know. And so people had a disco hangover.
Disco was a really big, it was a big phenomenon, especially with Studio 54 in the garage, and so there was a culture ingrained there already, but there was a I would say like a lapse in time, but after disco there was boogie, and then became house. But there was like 88 for me was a defining time for a lot of this music to really kind of come out. And so the mixtape thing was a big thing too.
Okay.
You actually had, before mixed CDs or mixed compilations, you had these house DJs that were selling their mixtapes on the street. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And it was a phenomenon to see. And then the labels caught on to it, and they started doing mixed compilations. it was a thing. Like, you wouldn't think that it was a big deal.
I mean,
but it wasn't even
would
a
they sell
thing.
these in the subways? I mean, genuinely, was this?
They would sell them on shopping carts outside of Tower Records on 4th Street and Broadway. You know, like you'd have them in like little flea markets with their racks of cassettes, and they would sell their mixtapes.
And would these be, I mean, for all intents and purposes, well-known guys, or were they just random dudes selling mixtapes of
random dudes
from
selling
clubs
mixtapes.
or their home or what?
Or their home. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
How illegal.
Yeah. Oh my God. This was before licensing.
It sure was.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And nobody stopped them because they didn't know any better, really.
Yeah.
So
bootlegs.
Yeah. It was all bootlegs.
Crikey.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. To think about doing that now is like, first of all, cassettes, forget it. You know, it's like, you know, but how are you gonna sell somebody a mix on a thumb drive? Like, how are you gonna? It's impossible.
SoundCloud links now.
The SoundCloud links. Yeah, were you gonna sell it? Yeah, it's really insane.
No. Oh my gosh.
The way the technology has influenced the culture. You know what I'm saying? It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing, especially also from a promotional standpoint as well.
So, at what point did you start kind of going out in the likes of New York or big clubs in New York? When did you start to discover that for yourself? I know your sister was doing it, but when did you say, right,
yeah,
I've got to
like
check this out myself?
College, you know, I would go to clubs to see shows, you know, alternative rock shows, you know, see shows, and then actual house clubs was the Tunnel. It was Larry T, Keoki, all the, you know, Party Monster people, Julie Jules, you know, doing the door, all the club kids from Michael Allig, you know, before he killed his drug dealer. And I would go there, and I started promoting for El Morocco for Mars, which was on the Meatpacking District.
Back up a second. How did you jump from going to clubs to promoting? How did you get involved with that?
I just started talking to the promoters.
Old school networking.
Hell yeah!
Wow.
I went there and I was like, I want to be that guy that shoves a flyer in your face and be like, "Come to my party!"
Wow.
Like, you know,
most people don't want to be that guy.
I did want to be that guy.
Okay.
I was like, because when you would walk around and you would hand out flyers, people would be like, "What is he doing? What is he giving people?" And so some people, you know, would reject it, but other people would just take it, and they loved it. They loved it. They wanted to know what was going on, and you know, you're promoting the hot party, because there weren't that many really good ones, because there was a section of club kids that people would follow, and they would go to the parties that these club kids would throw, right? So those were the hottest parties. Wow. You know, and you know,
were these in Manhattan or were these out in the boroughs, or where were they?
Mainly in Manhattan. Yeah. So the main one was Larry T Celebrity Club Party. And Larry T, you know, the father of electro, he would DJ at Disco 2000, and it would be at the Tunnel. It would be at it's now the Underground, which is now a Petco. And they still have Underground. And they still have the wooden parquet dance floor where I first heard, "I got the power."
Were you kind of coming up through your, you know, late teens into this era of getting into, you know, helping out clubs, promoting all that kind of thing? At the same time, all these household names that we know now, like Barbara Tucker, like Lenny Fontana, like Louis Vega, Kenny Dope,
David.
Were you watching these guys come up as well at the time?
Yeah, I mean, I knew of their names. I was not until I started working at Billboard, you know, in the dance department, did I actually really. I would see their names as remixers on records.
Okay.
So I knew who they were, and I would go to the parties and, you know, hear them play. But it wasn't really until I got into the industry that I really started connecting with the producers and the actual DJs. Because, you know, from club promotion to actual record promotion are two separate worlds. You know, they meld, obviously, but it started in club promotion and then it went more into record promotion.
And what was the leap there? I mean, did you kind of have moves on that already? Because I know you said you wanted your name on a record, right?
Yeah.
But had you kind of said, the club is great, but I want to work at this. I want to be involved. How did you end up at Billboard, basically?
Well, I wanted to be part of the process of the creation of the record because everything revolved around the music. So it became more of a core ideal for me, from just the party to actual what is the music that's driving the party. So it became more of like a centered purpose for me because it, you know, party promotion is great, but it was more superficial than the involvement in actually creating something that to me was so much more important, because the party can come. Party comes after the record, right? And so I started interning at Caroline Astorworks I was a high school teacher for 4 years.
You were a high school teacher
I
for 4
was
years? Were you
a foreign
really?
language teacher.
How old were you then?
I was right out of college.
Right out of college. And did you
so
did you study that in college? Did you do?
I did. I have a
okay.
master's in Italian secondary education.
Wow.
And French. Yeah. So I was teaching foreign language for 4 years, and on the weekends I would go to the clubs, and in the summers off you would.
Give me an idea of the year. That was kind of the early 90s.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Late 80s, early 90s, and
And was the vocation for music just too strong, or you just got sick of the job?
It was absolutely the draw.
Okay.
I left teaching because it was more of a profession, and I love the kids, but the bureaucratic bullshit of the New York City public education system. There were more than 1 million kids. I had 35 kids in my Spanish class, 66 in my music class. It took me 20 minutes to take attendance, and it was a job, and I loved it. But music was always what I always fell back on. Sometimes I would see my kids in the classroom because I would wear kind of like lots of rings. They're like, yo, Mr. B, you hang out at the Limelight?
Oh, really? They caught that?
They're like, yo, he to club music. Don't talk to him. He got a hangover. Yeah, it was great. They were so wonderful.
Wow.
So
I mean, you sound like a pretty cool teacher.
It was fun, honestly. And if I had to do it all again, I would go back to teaching if I could. But I'm not done yet with the music, man.
You obviously served your time and learnt your trade at Billboard, did you? I mean, did you learn?
Oh my God,
so much of that.
Oh my God, Billboard was the pinnacle. It was a dive into the deep end swimming pool of industry, music, production. 5 years of just diving into the deep end because I met so many people. I met Frankie Knuckles for the first time, my fucking idol.
Wow.
And I met Dave Morales and, all of these label people that were promoting to the dance chart. So you knew everybody from the major labels to the indies, from Death Mix to Arista to Epic to Areola to Strictly to King Street to Nervous. And when I left Billboard to go to King Street, I actually that was a defining moment too, because I would get a lot of promos and I would always kind of gravitate to King Street, loving house. And I love Strictly, don't get me wrong. Nervous was great, AV8 was great, a lot of Wacko, a lot of the other Chicago and New York house labels, but there was something about King Street that I always gravitated to, so it was actually kind of nice that I went up there.
Did you kind of seize an opportunity that came up in King Street, or were you kind of how did you work your way there?
Yeah, so when I started Billboard, I was a temp, and then I went into their PR department, and then they had an opening in the charts department, especially the dance department, and I was like, hello. So worked out there, and then the dance chart manager that was there came back, and then I got an offer from King Street, and I wound up just going there, and I couldn't refuse it because it was just it felt like home, Wow. It really, really felt like home. Billboard was more like, you have the pop dance stuff. You had all aspects of dance music that was coming out at the time. And like I was saying earlier, there was like, major label artists that were doing dance remixes. It wasn't authentically house. The remixes were, obviously, because of the producers. But going to a label like King Street was, you were in the house. You know what I mean? You were right there. That's what I loved about it.
If King Street is 31 years old this year.
Yes.
And this was the start of the 90s, mid-90s. They were only up and running, really, a couple of years, were they?
Yeah,
this was the early days of King Street, in other words.
93, they started, and then I was at Billboard from 95 to about 2000. I started with them around
so
2000.
5-6 years old.
Yeah.
And I remember getting King Street Records 2002, and it was
Vinyl?
Of course. But, they were well established. I mean, when I was starting playing house music, King Street was there, well established. It was an up-and-coming label and nothing like that. But what do you remember walking into King Street? Had it sort of really gathered the momentum that it ultimately had, or was it really exciting to be part of a journey as they grew, if you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, I had been aware of the releases that got me into them in the first place, and gravitated towards them, and so I had an idea of their catalog. And so when I met with Hisa for the first time, just to interview, he told me about the stuff that was coming up, and I was salivating. I was like, if I gushed over it anymore, I'd be drowning in my own fluids. Okay. I like to say, you know what I mean?
Like picture.
It was so cool. Like, he had the new David Morales coming up. He had the Ananda Project stuff that was, remixed by Joe Cosell and Danny Tenaglia. Like, I was home, bro. Like, I was home. And so he would just go down the litany of the release schedule, and I was like, yes. And let's go. When do I start? Yeah, I was really excited.
So what is an interview? Because I have no idea, and nobody probably ever will again have an idea what this is like. What was an interview for Joe on King Street like? What was he asking you? What's the criteria there? I mean, what does he grill you on?
Yeah, I mean, he told me what he had in the catalog, and I was familiar with the artist, and I remember specifically him asking me, "Do you go out?" And I was like, "Well, a little bit too much." He's like, "Perfect, let's go."
I'll stop you there.
So I would go to bring promos to Central Fly, go to see Armand Van Helden at the Limelight and bring him the acetates and...
Okay, hang on, because I remember stories about this. Now, you've lived this, you've done this. You're actually telling me right now you've done this.
Yeah.
So bring it to that, because I just think that's so cool. You would literally hand-deliver vinyl record promos...
Yes, sir.
...to the DJs as they played in the clubs, yeah?
Yes,
am I hearing you right?
Yeah.
Right, tell me about that. That is insane.
Because we had 3 phases of the pressing. So you had the acetate that you had to approve, and then you had the white label non-commercial that we would press up, maybe 300-400 pieces of, and use those as promos.
How long did this take? I mean, in the sense of, we're so used to instant now. Me and you go in now in 10 minutes to do a track, we can get it to people tonight, right?
Absolutely.
This is totally different era.
Oh my God, because we live in such an ADD world. Like, everybody wants it now.
Exactly, but how long did this process take to get promos together? I mean, you're talking a couple of weeks?
Well, yeah, because we also were pressing probably like 4 releases a month.
Okay.
So with each release, we had to, plan it probably about a month ahead of time if we were on a regular schedule.
Yeah.
So we would press the acetate, the production guy would come, he'd listen to it, he would approve it, and then we would get the white labels like maybe 2 weeks later, and then 2 weeks after that, we would get the worldwide release commercial copy, shrink wrapped and full color jacket. And so when the white labels came, we would have deals with, let's say, Black Vinyl in the UK, where we would send them a stack of promos and for them to reach out to their DJs, and we would give some to the record pools like Def Mix, to give to their DJs because they were servicing.
But they would technically curate that, like, so they would decide, look, he needs a copy of this because he's gonna.
We would let them give it to whoever they wanted to and felt fit, and sometimes they would sell it, and we would sell the white labels. That was juicy because the white labels sometimes would be worth more than the commercial, because it's limited run, it's a white label, nobody has it yet. And there would be such an excitement over, oh, you got the new Morales, or you got the new Louis Vega. Yeah. It's on white label. You know what I mean? There was something really, really, really special about it. Now, if you try to do a pre-promo of it, it's kind of special, but it doesn't have the same effect. You know what I mean? I don't know.
There was a romance to it. No. There was a romance to it. There was a romance to walk in. I remember particularly, I mean, it happened in Dublin, but it used to happen even more in the UK. You would walk into a record store in London, because it was so close to us in Dublin. You'd walk into a record store in London, or even New York. I remember doing this in New York. And the guy behind the counter would be playing a record that was obviously a promo, and he'd have 5 copies. And now whether he's bullshitting you, I don't know, but he would say to you, I've only 5 copies of this. Here, you can have one. And you felt like $1 million. And you're like, wow, I've got a copy of this.
Absolutely.
But there was a romance to it. That's gone. And that's okay. That's the way times move, right? But
there's no limited edition now.
No.
Anybody can have limitless copies.
Yeah.
Limitless copies of a white label that is supposed to be limited edition.
Exactly. So that's a magical time. But, to hear it, it's one thing walking into a record store, but to be a DJ and have some guy come in while you're playing and hand you the latest white label promo. 1 of 5. Did your Friday and Saturday nights I presume that was the prime time club nights in New York, like everywhere in the world. Was that like you got to get a record bag with 40 records in it and do the rounds to give them out?
Yeah, there were nights that I had done some rounds only to a few select clubs, knowing who was going to be playing, but also throughout the week. Like, Central Fly was a big industry night on Wednesdays, right? You had the Underground Network where Louis Vega would play his residency on Wednesdays. It was an industry night, so a lot of industry folks would bring their white labels to these parties. For them to test it out.
Yeah, did you wait around to see that they play it? You didn't have to do that.
Absolutely.
Did you?
Oh my God. Wow. I didn't want to be like a stalker, but I'd be like, you want this. But if you tell them what it was, they would love to test it out. And sometimes they would do it right on the spot.
Wow.
knowing what it was and knowing what kind of song it was, and who the artist was, and maybe they'd heard it before, or maybe the producer had sent them like, you know, a little test, you know, check this out, like on the phone or what have you. Yeah.
But you had to do the post office rounds as well. You literally had to go and post out these vinyl records.
Oh yeah.
Would you post them all over the world, or if it was America, was it only America? Or I know you distributed them to Black Vinyl and stuff in the UK to send them out to their people, but did you have to post these to the far corners of the world?
Yeah, totally. I mean, especially like the foreign magazines, like Trax magazine in Paris, you know, DJ Mag. That wanted physical product 4 weeks prior to the, you know, release date or whatever. We would sell them, ship them overseas. Absolutely.
Two curious questions about promo, right?
Yeah.
And this is what I grew up in, but I'm just curious about this. How much trouble were you in if you didn't send back the reaction sheet that used to come with this? Fax it back. How much trouble did you? You just got to chill down your spine there.
But I gotta say that Roger Sanchez was king of feedback. He would be one of the big name DJs that would actually, you would get a fax with Roger's name on it and saying a feedback form. So I got to give props to Roger Sanchez, because he was always one of the really good people that actually appreciated giving feedback. A lot of DJs were like, if you hear me play it, then you'll know that I'm supporting it. You know, yeah, absolutely. So, and then we would even threaten. No feedback, no music.
Yeah, that's what I remember. It was actually pretty, like, it was cutthroat. I was like, I better send this back. I remember going over and sending faxes in the local office department in where we lived, a job care centre.
It was
because I thought I'd get kicked off subliminals lists or whatever. But yeah, how seriously? I just always wonder how seriously did they take that, you know?
It's one of the reasons why with Pit Control, the company that I'm doing promo of, is why I do the forced feedback, because a lot of DJ, if you just give them a Dropbox link, first of all, you don't know who, you know, unless you do some kind of tracking, you don't really know who's downloading your music, and you don't get any kind of like reaction from it. Well, did you like it? I'm giving you free music, dude. Like, the least you can do is actually tell me if you like it. I know that if you play it, you're supporting it, or if I see it on your playlist, but you know, it's a common courtesy thing.
Yeah, and in regard to King Street, I mean, we're 31 years in now. I know you said Night Grooves followed shortly after. They're 30 years old.
A year later.
So I would find it hard to pick a King Street release. You know, I always throw you something to play. So I don't know. I remember talking to Gladys a couple of years ago, and I did think on my feet with this. I don't know where it came from. I said, give me a release that I'm really excited when you signed it, right? I know you didn't necessarily sign stuff, but she was like, straight away, yeah, Deep Inside, Hard Rock. You know, she knew straight away. But was there a moment that you were like, you got really excited about one particular King Street release that you went,
oh God!
Does that spring straight into your mind?
And remember from the doc when they showed it, they said, you know, when Most Precious Love went number one, I remember Barbara Tucker coming in. Dennis had just finished his remix. He literally just handed it to us the day before. I called Barbara, and I said, Barbara, Dennis handed in this remix. I have to play for you live. I have to play for you in person. And so it came in. She came in. And we went into the back room where the little studio area was. She sat down, and I played it for her, and she was like, yes, child. She was like, this is it. This is the one.
I actually heard that in her voice. In my head, I heard her saying that in her voice.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was in it, and I knew right away and I wish I would have taken a recording of that, you know, just like a little video clip of her reaction, because originally the song was, you know, it was lounge. It was I'm in love. You know, it was very, very chill. It was not an anthem in the least. It wasn't until Dennis brought in the chorus and the big, you know, background harmonies and, you know, that he made it into this monster hit that it became. And I remember being in London with Monique Bingham, and we were working the record to Billboard, and that went number one the week I was away. That one in particular was one of those records, jumps out.
It's funny you mention it, because another anniversary that's being celebrated at the moment is Traxsource's 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I was talking to the Traxsource boys, and they mentioned that record as, you know, a record that had blown up from the underground, I guess, and straight away that sprung to mind for them. So wow, it's incredible that you mentioned it as well.
Yeah, it was wonderful seeing like fax after fax of licensing requests for compilations coming in. I'd never seen so many requests. The legal department was going crazy because we would get so many requests for Most Precious Love on the compilations, either mixed compilations or just, you know, non-mixed. And Barton was another one, the Kerry Chandler. That yeah. We would get a ton of requests for that one as well. I remember those two in particular. And Cascades of Color, obviously, was a really big one with Joe Cosell, Ben Watt, I think, that makes his own. Danny Tenaglia as well. The Carol Sylvan, Closer. I want you to get closer.
Of course. Yeah.
Roland Clark's President's House, I always loved. If House was a nation,
yeah, the acapella got
president. It's so relevant now. Mondo Grosso Star Suite, that 13-minute epic. Okay, don't get me started.
I'm going to laugh at that. No, I'm going to laugh at that.
Why?
Okay, what do people normally buy 2 copies of a record for? Stretch it out. I brought it out to make it shorter. I swear to God. I saw Kerry Chandler do it. I went, I'm going to do that. And I got 2 copies so I could make it shorter.
Brilliant.
But it's it's an epic record. But we just didn't have the time.
That is awesome. That is because it was like 13 minutes long, like one side.
It was an absolute. It was a Ben-Hur, special. It was brilliant though. But I remember getting 2 copies. On the day, so give me 2 copies out because I'm going to make it shorter. We just skipped an entire midsection of it for about 5 minutes. But what a record!
Yeah, man. Monday Michiru.
Yeah. Thank God you pronounced that, not me. But I knew
Michiru.
I could never say it.
Because I was always saying Michiru, but I would get schooled on it.
Yep.
So I had to condition myself to say correctly.
Well, yes. So we could play any of those, even the long version.
Bathroom break. That's a bathroom break.
That's a bathroom break record. Yeah, that's a go home and get your change of clothes record.
Pick up a friend from the airport.
Exactly. That's the line. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But we have to nail our colours to the mast on one, I suppose. I tell you what, think about that for a sec, because I want to ask you one final question. And you've been so good to give me your time and your story, because this is history. Genuinely, this is relevant history to what people are doing nowadays. Where do you see it going? Because you're obviously still well involved. I mean, you're certainly not taking your foot off the gas. But where do you see it going now? I mean, I know things have constantly changed. But where do you see it going now?
The music or the scene?
Both.
I think it's still it's going to keep growing because there's still a demand for it. The access to it is a lot simpler and more. It's more accessible, and anybody can make. Especially with these AI programs, with all of this computer software that you can just make a track over a voice and even sing into a bass and create a bass line with your voice. It's so much more easy to create a track. I think the demand for people's expression will never, ever, ever, ever go away. And then people's need to dance will never, ever go away. People's need to be inspired by good lyrics and a good bass line. Well, that's here to stay. Well, thank God.
Somebody's worked through all these decades of dance music. You obviously still find it exciting. How it changes all the time.
Oh my God!
You're always on the cusp of the next big thing. To be fair.
Yeah, but and it's funny because you can get so jaded on so many aspects of the business per se, and then it's really pissed off and exhausted by the amount of music that's being released and the crap music that kind of comes out, and the sampleability of it all that it's just rehashing stuff, and it's easy to become jaded. But when you get into a really good tune, it reminds you of the passion that got you into it in the first place.
100%.
Yeah, and that's what we got to keep striving for. I can't get jaded. I can't.
Okay.
I don't have a choice.
Well, listen, you've been flying the flag for and literally championing this music and this scene for so long. Thanks for your time,
dude.
You're one of my favorite people. You know that.
Same here.
And I just really wanted to have a long chat about this because it's really it's history and it's really interesting, and it's relevant. It's relevant to people today as it is in 1990. You know. So thank you so much. Here's the hard parts. Did you decide on a King Street tune?
My favorite.
Yeah.
Ultimate.
Yeah.
I did, and it is Love Each Other, Yukihiro Fukutomi.
Wow.
Love each other.
Now, do you know, only because you're one of my favorite people,
I live.
You picked that a couple of years ago.
Did I?
You did.
I can't get enough.
Well, you're telling the truth, obviously. It's obviously your favorite record, but it's one of my favorites too.
Oh, right.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you my great memory behind this because, if you love it that much, you'll get it. I remember hearing this in that last Body and Soul before 9/11. I'd never heard the record before. There's a guy called Ariel used to do the lights. I think of his name right. I hope of his name right. He used to do the lights. Right?
Ariel for Body and Soul. Absolutely.
Right. We were in Body and Soul. It was pitch dark, really dark. I mean, very little light.
and you obviously you're going to hear the record now on the radio in a second, but the bit in Love Each Other that goes, doo, 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 right? When that happened, these lights erupted. We hadn't seen the lights yet. We were like, whoa! Right? And of course, how loud it was in Body and Soul in New York. And that sold me on that record straight away. I was like, what is that? And I bought 2 copies of that as well to make it longer, right? And I could never pronounce Yukihiro. Yeah, you got him. But yeah, that was my experience of that record, and it's one of my favourite ever since. But it's funny what you remember about tracks, but that boom, 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 and the lights just exploding. But it was like, wow, this is like...
You experience it for a whole nother way.
Absolutely. Like it was like... And I always, when I listen to it, that comes back to me, So I'll be enjoying this as well. But yeah, what a great choice. Yeah, I'd love to hear this as well. Talking about King Street. Well, you can watch the movie, Please God, soon on YouTube. I think you were saying to add a little bit to it.
Yes.
Maybe take out the dancing Japanese naked man.
Naked guy, possibly. No spoiler alert.
No spoilers. That's a very good reason to watch it. But yeah, hopefully coming out on YouTube. I mean, it's hardly going to be Netflix or anything like that as well.
Yeah, so they're going to try to look for distribution.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think, honestly, like if they get it into the film festivals, like a Tribeca Film Festival, would be amazing, because here you have, Armada being a Dutch label, investing in telling a story about a New York house label run by a Japanese man. Yeah. How
cosmopolitan.
How cosmopolitan. How New York. How you know what I mean? How beautiful is the melding of house music cultures and styles and people than that. That's a story unto itself. And Tribeca Film Festival, I think they might even like it, but we'll see.
Okay, well, look, we'll keep our eyes open and peeled for that. Thanks for your time, Joe.
Dude, thank you.
I know we're going to be partying later, but awesome. From a radio point of view, always appreciate your thoughts, your input, your stories, your vibe. It's always amazing. I really mean that. You know that. And let's take a listen to this. Wow, Love Each Other. You say the artist name, please. Yukihiro.
Yukihiro Fukutomi.
Love each other. Everybody. Love each other. Everybody know I gotta love each other. Yeah, love each other.
I normally get to catch up with these boys probably on the day of their event. Unfortunately, I was at the event, but I didn't get to chat to them because they were so busy. It was an amazing party, however, with John Morales and co. Down at the Midnight Riot party at the Bulldog. Well, I still had to catch up with them, so off I am on Friday to talk to Mr. Yamhoo, that's Sandy Williams, of course, and Mr. Phil Rose, Phil Yeagerossa, the boys from Midnight Riot, an essential chat at the ADE. Well, it is Friday night at the ADE. I was hoping to catch you boys last night while you were riding the crest of that wave from the amazing Midnight Riot party, but I know you were really busy, so I'm really glad I caught you.
Thank you.
Before you got home. I know you're heading home fairly soon. We have Yamhu and we have Mr. Yeagerossa, Phil Rose, with us from Midnight Riot. Lads, lovely to talk to you again. Lovely to see you again.
You too, yeah.
How were the heads this morning?
Pretty good, actually. We were well behaved for a change, so.
Yeah, just a bit mad yesterday because we literally flew in with cases straight to the party. It was on the. We were on the minutes.
Classic ADE story.
Yeah, of course.
Classic ADE.
Yeah.
But we got.
It never changes.
Never changes. We pulled it off again.
You did indeed. Well, for anyone who missed it at home, obviously, listen, or Midnight Riot fans, tell us the lineup again. Who was you're quite a big guest actually, wasn't you?
John Morales, Suki Soul, Adam Nova, who stood just 10 yards.
Luke Delight, Disco Sparks
DJ
from Amsterdam,
DJ Emma. So it was a good. We didn't have much time this year. It wasn't.
Yeah, you had a little venue change.
We had a little venue change, which
yes.
you know about that. And so we had less time to pull it together, but we managed and we got there in the end.
A lot of stress putting it together, though, I'd say.
We had a good team.
We had a good team.
Yeah,
we had a good
and
team.
the venue was amazing. So.
Yeah, the venue were cool. They were brilliant. Really accommodating.
It was smooth.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was good.
Well, down to Midnight Riot business, chaps. I have to say, a long time, we've said it every time we chat, I've been supporting you guys for a long time because it's so amazing. But this year seems to be a little bit ramping up. To be honest, I've played nearly no, hang on.
Yeah,
I mean,
every year is it's
a notch, a couple of notches higher in this case.
Yeah, it is.
I think nearly every week I've played new Midnight Riot, and including your good self. We'll get to that in a second, Phil. But you've really kind of up the pace.
Yeah, it's changing.
So how's the last? I mean, we've done this 12 months ago. So in a year, what's been going on quickly?
I think in our sort of disco, house, boogie, funk world, there's maybe there's slightly bigger labels with less input, and I think we're filling that gap a lot now. We made an agreement, me and him, about a year ago, didn't we, mate, to say we're going to, there's a quality cut-off these days.
Okay, in what way?
In terms of, we get a lot of demos, and now we knock...
A bit more discerning?
We knock more back than we sign.
We always have been, but
we have.
You like to think that, your output can compete with anyone, and
also
think it does.
People see the success as well. They see that everything goes Traxsource top 10. We have tracks being played by some big hitters, and they want that for their track. So it's cyclical, isn't it? It all goes round.
So it's been a busier 12 months, I'd say. I mean, Andy, you were always busy. I know you too as well, Phil. But I mean, I always look at your output as Yamhu or even Questlife and think, wow, where's he getting the time to do all these and run the label? But busier year for you.
Yeah, it gets worse, and there's the gospel, all the gospel stuff is really starting to take off. Really so
I'm not the only one to notice that. There seems to be the amount of gospel tunes I'm playing now. What's the story there?
Yeah, so that's been a long-term project. We've been on it for X amount, and it's a whole area that can be explored. Just wait to see what's coming, because it's a mythical sort of world that no one's ever touched or been stupid enough to try and get involved with. So we're deep in it, and so that's just an exciting thing that you can talk about, and people are genuinely sort of interested in what's going on. It's slightly different to the world that we're in, but who knows? You never know what song is gonna come out and blow up next.
Yeah, well, this goes back to probably, I know when people are hearing this, it'll be probably 2 weeks, but last week the Sophie Lloyd remix. For you guys, huge. I dropped that even in live playing out, and I was like, ooh. So I mean, I don't know. I have noticed that though. I've noticed every week I have some gospel sounding gospel house. Because I remember it was big 10, 12 years ago. Maybe I used to play a lot of it. I didn't seem to go away, and it seems to be coming back just as it sounds. So that's interesting you say that.
That's the house side of it. Whereas I think what we're working with is honestly, once you start getting deep into
hang
it.
on a minute. Are you talking about actual gospel stuff?
I
totally misunderstood this. Then, tell me more about that.
It's not just a vocal. It's so even collecting the records is you can't get those records, or you don't even know about them. So
the sources that Andy works with, and a little bit that I work with, where the gospel comes from, where we re-edit it, is probably the best source in the world.
Wow.
Like, the guy's got the biggest gospel collection in the world. He's an amazing guy. He's a mythical guy. And Andy's, it's Andy's contact, and we're lucky that we get the benefit of that. So I've done a couple of things. He's got the stuff that's coming is just...
Really? What can you allude to or tell us about? I know you've kind of loosely alluded to it.
No, I mean, it's on vinyl as well. Like, so there's like original stuff that we're remaking with gospel singers, the original vocals. And then there's this whole other sort of area that is like a melee or like... it's just interesting because it's never been done. Yeah, I get the gospel house stuff. It's like, that's peak time, sort of the pinnacle of any DJ's sort of set, which is, that's still in the sort of the world. But there's this whole other thing that's starting to come through, and I think that's what, what people are excited about. So that's just like another label that's probably in the last 12 months has really taken off. Or starting to.
Okay, wow. Totally. I really thought you were kind of talking more about Gospel House, but this is...
No, it's...
Wow, okay.
We'll send you,
Please,
I love it.
We'll
It's been down tempo, a lot of it.
Love it, please do. I'd be delighted to hear it, because I'm a big fan of that anyway, but wow, excellent stuff.
Yeah, all right.
Mr. Ross, what is the story? That big red track has people... Seriously, I've played that every single week.
Bless you, man.
Right.
Bless you.
I mean, amongst others, by the way, not only that...
If you knew the background of that record, then you'd be like, I've had that record... I made that before we even put it out. Me and him had he was a bit like, I'm not sure about that, and I was a bit like, it's all right, isn't it, like that. And next thing you know, I'm getting an Instagram Dennis for playing in Egypt, and it's everywhere, and like the song stats, but you get the song stats, and I'm like, oh my God, this is being played across the world, everywhere.
Isn't it uncanny though in our line of business how it sounds like you just said, not really sure, and next thing,
how it works.
Okay.
And we had it, we didn't, and I just said to him, we might as well just stick it out. I had it for 6 months before I even stuck it out, and
wow.
There you go.
But even the Wonder Years and all that are the...
Oh, bless you, man. Yeah, that's had a bit of a re-emergence last week again. That's gone back up the charts. But
brilliant.
Yeah, there's more to come, mate. There's more to come.
Look, the quality of Midnight Riot is never in question, or with either of you together as the label or together, as artists, never in question. But I really have personally noticed just the output is just stronger and stronger and stronger. So congratulations on that. Really mean that. Brilliant stuff.
And I say this every year. But you are a legend.
Mate, no.
I said this last year.
You can't say that.
I can, though. I know, but you support us, man. Like, it's
I'm a fan. I'm a fan. That's the end of it.
It's support, man. It goes around, doesn't it? So
well,
we're all in this.
We're appreciated.
As trite as it may sound, I wouldn't support it if it wasn't good. So, do you know what I mean? But that goes hand in hand. Do you know what I'm saying? But you had some meetings today. You said that were legitimate meetings. Not ADE get-togethers. Yeah. So I don't expect you to divulge all intimate details of them, but were you kind of making new networks or whatever today?
No, just sort of like old stuff that people where I've gone back and I've thought, why are we not having just had a conversation with some friends of mine who they've just done a big festival. We might do something with them next year. We've had, what else have we done? I've lost count now. What have we done?
Track Source,
as we always do with Dan, and they're a bit more. I think there was a lot more. They were behind us a bit more this year because they can see everything that. We make the money at the end of the day, you know.
There you go.
The track
speaks for itself, doesn't it?
The track sells, so it's been good. It's been a lot more. I don't know. I just got a vibe. Things have happened where when you're walking down the street, you pick up and an opportunity just comes from it.
Big time. Yeah.
We've got a radio show on FGC in Paris. Sam Carlson just said, "Yeah, we want to get you on, but once a month." Just stuff's happened. Which it generally does at ADE, but more seems to have happened this year.
In regard to club nights and stuff, I know you guys have been doing a couple of things around the UK, and I know you're doing something in Switzerland that you normally do as well. But
Glasgow.
Next big one is Carlisle at the end of December. I've got some stuff happening in Manchester. I've got a new gaff opening in Manchester, which is a weekly party for ADE, which is my other night. That starts weekly, and we've got the Reflex, Natasha Kitty Cat, Hi-Fi Sean, some joker called Yam Who. Got Michael Gray, second Saturday in December. Huey Morgan doing a block party. That's a new venue in Manchester. And then I'm remembering all the dates now. January we're in Switzerland. March we're in Switzerland. Yep. We're waiting. I've got some stuff pending with Pikes. Southampton in April next year. I'm doing a mini tour in Morocco in April. I can't think where else. I've missed something out as well. Can't remember.
We still haven't made Dublin happen.
Sorry, mate. No, we haven't.
We haven't made that.
We've got a bit going on.
That has to be added to the list.
The Dublin's pending.
Coming.
It is pending.
We're just waiting on someone called Niall Redmond.
And I'm actually going to hang a really good friend of mine, Christian Homan, as well. So yeah, myself and Christian will be putting our heads together on that. So I'm going to throw him in the mix. Yeah, absolutely.
Send him my love. Man.
So we will. Yeah. So myself and Christian will be talking about that, and we think there may be opportunities coming up for sort of things are changing back home as well.
How is the scene over there?
It's okay. It's Dublin's. It's probably like this across most of Europe now, or even the world.
It's tough, man.
Our neck of the woods. It's a lot of collectives.
Yeah.
And which is great for them. But if you're independent DJ on your own and you're running your own independent nights, as opposed to having a big group of DJs and group of followers, it's kind of harder, But having said that, they love their disco in Dublin.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's nuts. That.
So
Well, if you're happening to come across some venues, mate, we'll always make time for you. Pal,
exactly. So that is definitely on the list. Your party is done and dusted. You can finally relax, guys. I know you're going home tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sadly. So Saturday you're going home. Friday night. Quite a lot on tonight.
Disco
I know
Express. We're going
okay.
there.
Yeah. Tell us where you're
going. And where else? We're on the guest list for Defected, but I don't think we're going to go. And where else we're going? There's something else.
There's Fool's Paradise.
Yeah, Fool's Paradise might nip back in later.
A busy roster of events to schmooze at, I suppose, and hang out. Well, look, thanks for all the music, guys, that you make, and obviously send to me to play, which is really great for you. No, genuinely, thank you very much.
And I will send you next week a couple of exclusives.
Okay. Well, I was gonna ask Yamahu a special request from me.
Go on.
Okay. You might have it ready, so you might be able to do this, but because it's such a different show we do at ADE time. Would you have any of that gospel you're talking about we could play ready to go?
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay. You can pick what it is, because I'd love to hear that, and that sounds really different.
Yeah.
So, can we do that?
Yeah, sure.
Guys, it was kind of close. I was hoping to see us last night, and I knew you were busy, and then I was like, oh God, I don't know if I make it, and I'm really glad we got to do this, because the ADE show wouldn't be the same without you guys.
It's a tradition now,
It is a tradition, of course it is. We're on the street this time. We're normally in nice,
we're normally in a nice
hotel. Michael Gray walking by in a towel. Remember that last year?
I know.
We don't get any of that here. But look, it's nice to be outside the Hawks and do this.
Thank you.
Guys, enjoy the rest of the evening. I'm sure we'll be bumping into each other anyway before you go home. But thanks for letting us play this as well, and you look forward to hearing this. And great to see you. It's great to see you. All right.
Thanks, man.
Places to be was Friday night at the ADE. Lots of things going on. High on our list, you would have remembered from last week's show, was the Fool's Paradise Party with an all-star lineup including Brian Tappert. One of the all-stars involved was Mousse T. Yes, the one, the only Mousse T. I've never met him, I've never got a chance to chat with him, and this was my chance. I have to be honest, before I was looking at everything going on, Mousse was being pulled left, right and centre by fans and friends and people he was catching up with, and he had a bucket load of goodies to give out as well. So I didn't think I'd get to chat with him, but I did grab him just as things were calming down and he was about to leave. He had just finished his set. Here's what happens.
Let's do it.
Do you know what it's like? It's like when people come in off the football field and it's like, so that was the game.
Exactly.
We'll go up here so we don't get killed.
Sure.
Sorry. You just played at the Hoxton at the Fool's Paradise Party, and I caught you a couple of years ago at ADE. It was one of the best parties I've ever been at. It was amazing to catch you again tonight. Great to see you and great to finally meet you. How are you?
First of all, thanks for having me. I'm amazing. I'm really happy because first of all, to travel here to Amsterdam for me is by plane 20 minutes. I live in Hanover, so it's like the plane takes off and lands right away.
Not even time for a coffee.
Seriously, like no service. And obviously, I think I skipped ADE last year. So this year was extra exciting because we got the 30 years Peppermint Jam of my label. You know, you see people are excited.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been good. You know, I feel a great vibe. You know, people are kind of like, you know, I wouldn't say they're back to house, but kind of like, you know, people are appreciating vocal house music again, you know, and I used to laugh about it when people said back in the day everything goes in circles. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And it actually is like that.
You were like the shizzle Santa Claus tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
You go around, right? I was going, I want one of them 12-inch records. So you had 12-inch records tonight, you had T-shirts tonight.
Right.
I think even saw stickers in there and tote bags. So you were giving out some goodies tonight, but I think the record is a special record you were giving out tonight. Is that correct, that you had with you?
The good things, first of all, that obviously, you know, we're like increasing activities again with Peppermint Jam because we have this beautiful back catalogue that we built over 30 years and releasing new music, which includes pressing vinyl as well. So we had like, you know, the latest release that I did, you know, obviously Horny with like some nice special mixes. Then a record called All I Want Is the Bass, which is my new single. It's like a rough club track with probably the most beautiful breakdown you heard in a long time. That's really nice. And then mixes that we had done for a classic, a New York classic, Urban Soul featuring Roland Clark.
Oh yeah,
All Right.
Yeah.
So we have DJ Span and Michael Chiavardini mixes and Mellow Man. So it's a nice package. I'm going to hook you up.
It was amazing to think back 30 years of Peppermint Jam. I mean, what's been the secret to lasting this long as a label and as a relevant brand, you know, going into 2024? What's been the secret?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if I would know the secret, but obviously, you know, we love what we do and we try to achieve best quality in terms of like production. And our USP, I would say, is kind of like we're always going for amazing vocals with a really rough and dirty track behind it. And that's like what I like, you know. And then obviously with the 30 years, we have like, I think the catalog is like spans, it's like 1,600 tracks that we built over the 30 years. So it's a nice little backbone you can live off, you know, so it's really nice.
Well, you've re-released a lot of the Peppermint Jam stuff with fresh mixes, I guess.
Right.
And you're not going to go through all the back catalogue, I assume, but are you picking the jams or what ways?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a cheap, like, you know, let's just put it out again with like new mixes. It's going to be very, very like detailed, you know, like the remix submissions are going to be like very thought about, you know, but I'm basically, I have an appetite again to release new music on my own label, which I hadn't done for a while. So, you know, and to, little secret, so I'm putting out this club track, All I Want Is the Bass, and the next one actually is a track that I did with Casey Sledge.
Oh, wow.
Which is quite something.
Okay, so when can we expect that? New Year, obviously?
I'm not going to make it this year, it's almost done, so it's going to be like February, March release.
Now, you know you've been really, really busy. Before Amsterdam, you were a bit more than 20 minutes away. You were in Australia. How did the Australian tour go? It looked amazing because I was looking at friends of mine who were playing alongside you. I saw a lot of the posts. It looked amazing. How was it?
It's amazing. I mean, it's a little bit surreal. It's, as I said, my 30th anniversary for the label. I think I've been doing all this probably like 38 years. And it has been my busiest DJ year ever this year. Like ever.
And do you think it's because of the anniversary, or is it just the way the scene
I think
everything
everything comes together. Like people rediscover our music, you know, obviously, you know, it's like I have a lot of help from friends from Defected and Glitterbox, obviously, which I'm lucky to play a lot of parties for. And all of that comes together and it's really great, you know. That said, I love that, but obviously there's not enough time for the studio, so it's always like one.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
But I mean, do you bring stuff with you? I mean, if you go on tour to Australia for 2 weeks, will you bring a laptop with you and be working away in the plane? Or?
Definitely, but I need, in terms of like the vibe and getting the idea right, I need a proper studio, and I'm so used to my setup. But obviously, you're right. You know, obviously, like little stuff, I'm definitely preparing on the laptop already.
And I mean, Peppermint Towers is still going, is it?
It's a Peppermint Pavilion, so that's
Pavilion.
Like, so that's like 24 years. You know, it's. I mean, you know, I'm proud, man. I'm seriously proud.
You should be.
Yeah, thank you, man.
For very good reason.
Thank you, dude.
You were playing Glitterbox on the opening night Wednesday night.
Yes.
You played tonight at Fool's Paradise. Are you finished now? Can you finally just party now at ADE?
I could, but I have a really early flight tomorrow, so I'm gonna give it an early night tonight, and I'm gonna have an easy weekend. I do Hamburg next week, and then I have a couple of weeks in the studio actually, which is great.
Okay, lovely.
Yep.
And have you more trips planned before the end of the year? More gigs?
Yes, a couple of gigs, and then I do a kind of extended America tour end of November till the end of December. And then I'm very lucky to do the Warehouse Project in Manchester for New Year's Eve. and Coco at New Year's Day in London. So it's going to be a beautiful English weekend.
Sounds exciting. Sounds fantastic. Wow. Well, congratulations on 30 years, Peppermint
Thank you
Jam,
so much,
and Prog
dude.
City, of course, which you played a lot of stuff off too.
Yeah, all right,
And,
you know your stuff.
Well, it's funny. I'm looking back. I was talking to a guy last night. I'd right outside the Hoxton here, and he said, "How long have you been DJing?" I said, 30 years, 32, 31 years. He said, I wasn't even born when you were starting
Right,
DJing.
exactly.
And I thought I realized I'm 46 now. I was like, wow, okay.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we're seeing a whole new generation of people rediscovering this music and discovering new music that you're still making. So it's amazing.
Beautiful.
Thank you for chatting to me.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate you giving me your time, and I know you were busy and you were like mobbed in there. Yeah, I know you had goodies, but you were also mobbed by so many people looking to chat to you and stuff. So thanks for chatting to me tonight. Amazing set as always.
Thank you.
And best of luck with the rest of the year. We look forward to those releases coming out as well.
Thank you.
Chatting to all our friends from all over the world on the Digital Groove with Niall Redmond. The Digital Groove at ADE.
All I want is the bass, yeah. 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 All I want is the bass, yeah.
Right, I had to go record shopping. I decided to hit rush hour for a few things. I actually spotted at Louis Vega the other night that I wanted to come, and they're still there, so I've managed to pick them up. But I managed to pick up something else, a good friend of ours on the radio show, and that's what happens at ADE. As you know, when you listen to this show, you know we run into people randomly throughout Amsterdam, but it's always lovely to run into someone at a record shop, and it's even more lovely to run into, you'll know him as DJ Passion, we might know him as Matthew Brady to his friends and family, but DJ Passion, we've been partying around, but we actually bump into each other in a record shop eventually too.
What are the chances? What are the chances?
Pretty high.
A DJ in a record
Pretty
shop.
high.
A DJ in a record shop. Who knew?
I know you've been helping me find some D-Train inside, which I have found, thank God, and I got a few other nice classics as well. But I wanted to nail you for a chat because we've been hoping to do this over the last few days, and I think now's a good time because I know probably this was your first event in rush hour. You went down to see Louis Vega.
Yeah, it was crazy. Big queues outside. I was actually stuck in the queue with Mark DeMio from Solstice Music and Jacob, these guys, and I've worked with those guys in the past, but I'd never met them in person, so it's actually quite a good way to get to meet them as well. But a lot of the heads were in there. I saw, Seamus Haji, Stacy Kidd was around, Riva Starr was there.
Hang on, Riva Starr was on your flight coming over from London, right?
Yeah, so funny story, I flew via London. I'm from Hong Kong, but I flew via London to get here. Out of the London City airport, and everyone on that flight's a suit because it's a business airport. I get stuck next to the one guy who's in casual clothes. We take off, we get chatting. Oh, you're going to ADE, mate? Yeah.
I'm totally picking up straight away. You didn't know who he was initially.
No. Just saw a fellow kind of someone from the music scene, I assumed, and we get chatting. Start talking about the scene and perils of social media. He tells me, I've got this record label, mate, I'll give you a follow, extra like. And I see there an Instagram that his, the latest track on that label has got Riva Starr. Oh yeah, Riva Starr, I know him. He's like, yeah, that's me. So the networking starts
even before you arrive,
sooner than expected. Sooner than expected, yeah.
Fabulous.
But no, I mean, coming back to Rush Hour, like great event, some really good vibes in there, and maybe drifting off a little bit. But I think, for me, coming to ADE, it's my first time here. It's actually my first time in Amsterdam.
Wow.
I've been to North Korea, I've been to Myanmar, Cambodia. But I've never been to Amsterdam before, so
the more extreme places you have, you've ticked them all off your list.
yeah.
Well, maybe Amsterdam is extreme at this time of the conference. I don't know, but yeah, it's always really interesting to talk to. I mean, friends of ours whose music we play, of course, but it's interesting to talk to people who's kind of first time ADE. So, what's your impression of it?
So, I mean, I think it's what I hoped it would be. My reason for coming, I guess, is twofold. Obviously, I love music, and I've seen people post over the years and kind of looked on longingly, jealously, and so I made up my mind to come here. And really, for me, there's a lot of people that I have connected with kind of virtually. So being in Hong Kong, there's a scene there, but maybe the scene that I'm part of is not so big in Asia. And then really I deal with people all around the world. I mentioned Mark DiMeo, so Solstice Music in the US I've released with. I've just signed a track to Midnight Riot, and Phil and Andy from Midnight Riot were here. Even yourself, Niall, you know, someone we've you know, connected, but we've never actually met in person.
For a long time we've been playing.
Yeah.
And actually, while I can interject on that, thank you so much for always sending the brand new music to us, because we get that literally way before anybody else. So, you know, it's something to thank you in person.
Thank you for playing it, mate. and you know, no, but genuinely, you're pretty much the first guy I've got on speed dial when the promos are ready to go out. As you know, you get them hot off the press. But yeah, you know, so I just wanted to meet people, have a beer, have a coffee, shake hands, you know, and connect in person. And then anything additional on that is a bonus. But I met people like Suki Soul, Alex Sundre, these kind of guys, vocalists that I like, and people I would want to work with. And now I've met these guys in person and we've had a chat. You know, potentially we can work together, collaborate. But yeah, it's just been great to hang out with people. I've just come from the pub. I've just had a beer with Richard Earnshaw, you know, one of these guys I kind of look up to on the scene. Was at iCulture last night. That was a great party. In ADE style, I planned to go to about 4 or 5 different venues because there was a lot on last night. And once I got to iCulture, I should say, it was banging in there. Seb Jr., Jonesy from Cafe 432. Richard himself, and yeah, you know, just there was no reason to leave really.
Well, I know you're, you know, from UK originally, and you live in Hong Kong. I'm of course across the water there in Dublin, not even an hour and a half away. But it's quite a long journey for you now to come to here, right? And I know it's your first time coming here. But have you been kind of energised or inspired by being here? Are you kind of going to go home with a brand new energy?
Yeah, and so part of the reason why I'm here is I'm going to play tonight.
We never even spoke about that. Yeah, you're DJing tonight.
Yes.
So tell us about that straight away. We'll get back to being inspired in a second.
So I'm playing for That Garage Sound, their 10-year anniversary. The venue, I hope I can pronounce this right, Koopstutz Bar. HP Vince told me that Koopstutz is like some kind of like local shot, a bit like I don't know.
Like a moonshine.
Almost like Dutch tequila or something.
They're Puchin.
Yeah. I think if you drink too much, you'll go blind or something like that.
Yeah. But a thimble of it, you go blind.
A thimble will be enough. But yeah, so I'm playing there tonight, and that's been set up by Michael Peters, if you know him, Garage House producer. And you know, as part of connecting to set that night up, you know, we've started working on a track together to collaborate. So I think, like, you know, even the process of setting up the trip already got the wheels in motion. But yeah, no, I'm definitely focused to get quite a few things out when I get back. It's everyone here is there's just the music scene in kind of embodiment, right? I mean, I guess if you throw a stone in any direction, you're going to hit a DJ. But
probably hit Stacy Kidd. He's everywhere.
He's been stalking you.
I've been stalking him.
He was at the Louis Vega thing as well. Yeah. You know, no, it's definitely helped me focus on a few things, and you know, like at the Hoxton, some of what you see going on the networking there, some of it looks pretty serious, right? Yeah, it's almost a bit like, I come from a banking background. It's almost a bit like being on a trading floor sometimes.
Wow, okay.
People have got their MacBooks out and they're doing real deals, right? Signing contracts and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, obviously for me it's a bit more easygoing than that. But no, like just the whole vibe of the place though, getting connected with the people. Yeah, I think it'd be weird not to get inspired by it.
Well, that kind of answers my next question, which is, would you come back?
Oh, yeah.
Are you sold on the ADE kind of thrill and idea?
Totally sold on it. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure my wife will listen to this, so I'm requesting my pass.
Okay, good man. Get it in early.
Requesting my pass.
Two things you need to do is book your hotel early and get your permission from home early.
Yeah.
Right. Your flights and all can wait. They're the things you need to work on straight away.
I was all right with that this year. I got the hotel and everything pretty quickly. So
good man. Well, getting away a little bit from ADE, because I know everyone listening knows you're Amazing Productions, and As we said at the start, you always hook us up first, and I'm sure you're working on stuff all the time, regardless of coming out here. So what else is on the boil towards the end of the year?
So as I mentioned, I've got a track signed to Midnight Riot. That's with a singer called Laura Jackson. I won't say too much about it. It's a cover of something.
Yeah,
it's a cover of something.
We shall anticipate, waiting with anticipation for that one.
And Andy Yamhu from Midnight Riot's remixing that as well. I'm working another really inspiring collab for me. I'm working with a singer called Jackie Bennett. Now, Jackie was one of the original kind of UK garage singers, and she had a bit of a break from the scene for a while, and she and I have connected, and she's sort of coming back with a vengeance. She's just got a track dropping on Defected with Majestic. And so, yeah, you know, she and I have kind of hit it off, and we're going to work on something. What else have I got coming? Yeah, again, Suki Soul and Alec, I've got some projects I think they might work.
The wheels are in motion there anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff happening. The collab with Michael Peters, that's more of a garage kind of vibe. So plenty in the pipeline.
Right, another ADE moment, just while we're chatting here, Matt, has happened. Right, I thought this was Louis Vega. I thought it was Louis Vega in the hat.
Louis Vega's coming. Alex Vega.
Alex Vega. Alec, where did you get Louis Vega's hat from?
I'm Alex Vegan.
Vegan. Okay. Well, come into this for a minute, because we've just been speaking about you and this young man here, Matthew, DJ Passion Brady, and you guys are going to be working on something. I know he's connected. So just while your name was in the mix in the interview, you appear.
We chatted yesterday after the gig at the Vic. You know, obviously we've been friends on social media, but like it's nice to put, you know, face to the name or name to the face. I'm not sure. Apologies, I've had a few drinks last night.
It's okay. so haven't we all?
Yeah. So we talked about doing something, and yeah, nice to, you know.
Well, nice for you to just come right in there. I really
do. That's the way this works, right? This is exactly what's magical about ADE in Amsterdam. Is like you go for a coffee at 9 a.m. thinking I'm just going to have a coffee with someone, and you stay in that place for 3 hours because people just keep coming in randomly. That you kind of conjure in your head, and just like they just appear there. So there you go. You mentioned Alex, and here she is.
Here she is. Anyway, Matt, that sums up ADE in a nutshell for me. We're talking about Alex,
Absolutely.
and there she appears. Now she is disguised as Louis Vega. If people could see that, hopefully someone took a picture of that so we can prove it. But anyway, so there you go. Brilliant stuff. But yes, you were telling us about your productions coming up during the year, and Michael Peterson you were talking about. Sorry.
Yeah, Michael Peters. So yeah, garage track there. There's a few. I've got a remix I'm working on as well for Kindred Soul, Nick Jimmy Deneen. I've worked with those guys a few times, and I've always managed to catch up, or almost always managed to catch up with Nick whenever I'm back in London. So yeah, I really like those guys. So something a remix I've started for them. Yeah, it's very busy, and I think, like you're saying, you know, it's coming here gives you that energy, that renewed kind of focus, and I've got to confess, some of these ones have been taking a bit longer to crystallise. So I'm planning to hit them quite hard and see them through when I get back.
Good man. Okay, well, you're DJing tonight, and you're heading home tomorrow. Will you get to party tonight? Otherwise,
I think it'll be quite a big party, the one I'm going to. So
I'm on the top of your head, but who else on the lineup for that?
PJ Bridger, X Amount, a local guy called DJ Crisps, Hannah Watimena. I think there's TMSN from Berlin. So it's quite a nice kind of European mix of garage artists, and it's actually nice because I haven't really played a garage set too recently. It's not such a big thing in Asia, so more of my sets are kind of have been more disco recently. So it's good that I get to dig out some of my productions, some classics, and have a bit of a garage throwdown.
Brilliant. Well, look, it's still early in the afternoon for us, so I'm kind of half tempted to go back and spend the rest of my spending money in rush hour, but I'll see what happens there. But I want you to do something for me, and it is a bit on the spot. I didn't know if you knew this was going to be coming, but during our chats we do throw a bit of music in here and there during the show. We've played so many of your records first on the radio. I'm not going to expect you to give me something brand new, because I know some of them are top secret or whatever, but you can pick one of your own tracks that we've played throughout the years, and we'll give it a spin as an ADE musical special tonight.
Oh, lovely, thank you. So I would choose for this kind of offer, I would choose my remix of industry standard Justify, because that's the first one. The first one I remember you playing of mine. I think Husky tagged me in one of your kind of video streams, and yeah, I showed it to my wife actually, because you were really jumping up and down and going. I was like, oh man, it's great to see someone.
Look at this psychiatric
case. Yeah. So that when I particularly think of you, that's what I envisage. So yeah.
Best of luck tonight.
Thank you.
For me, this is a proper ADE. Getting to meet you for the first time. We've connected, like you say, so long over the internet, over our social media platforms, which is brilliant to do. But to actually meet each other and thank you for the music and see you and hang out is just fabulous. And for me, that's what ADE is all about. So great to see you, literally. Great to actually see you and meet you in person. Keep that great music coming. Great to know you've made some really important connections here that are going to lead some great things. And we'll catch you out there later on.
Nice one. Thank you so much.
You say you feel disenchanted, 'cause lately it takes you for granted. Still faithful and true, you've remained in the hurt.
I wanted to catch up with at the ADE this year. It wasn't going to be too difficult. You just heard us talking about it. That's me and Matthew Brady just there talking about it. Stacy Kidd, he is the man of ADE for me. He has been at every event I've been at. I've seen him out at every event I even haven't been to. He's just been everywhere. He is getting himself into every single place. He's just been working hard, and it was essential I caught up with him because I haven't spoken to Stacy in quite a long time. So this is me and Stacy Kidd. I just finished my set down at the Web as part of the Come Together event. Stacy was there, of course, so I said come on outside and we'll have a chat. This, my friends, is Stacy Kidd. I'm really glad I caught up with this man. I've seen you everywhere. Right now, hang on a second. My first question, Stacy Kidd, to you is, how many Facebook pages have you got?
4.
Okay, you got 4.
4.
I give you my theory that there is 4 Stacy Kidds, okay? Because I've seen Stacy Kidd at every party I've been to, and I don't know how you managed to do it in real time.
Right,
so I think there's 4 Stacy Kidds.
Right,
well, look, I'm really glad I got to see you because I've seen you. We've passed each other so many times,
right.
and I know you haven't been here for a few years. I think the last time you were here was 2019.
Yeah.
Before the world changed. Yeah. So is it nice to be back?
Yeah, it's great. Always. We love Amsterdam. Me and my wife, she travel with me everywhere we go. So we try to enjoy everything. And then we were supposed to come last year, but I ended up getting another booking out of the country. So I was like,
Well, I was a little bit angry with you. Right, a little bit. Right, but forgiving you. Because this actually goes back a few years as well. But you came to Dublin, and I never found out until you were gone home.
Oh, really?
Remember, you came and played in Dublin. I never knew. Twice. That's even worse.
And we was there for New Year's is it 19? I think it was 19 New Year's.
And I missed out.
Yeah.
Well, you're due a visit to ADE, which is now, but you're probably due a revisit to Dublin then as well.
Yes,
so
sir,
will you tell me the next time?
Yeah,
Give me a bit of warning. I'll take you around. We'll do some stuff. All right.
For sure.
Well, how has your ADE been? What's been your favourite party so far? It's Saturday night now, so you've been here for a couple of days. So what have you got to? A lot, I know, but what have you got to?
Of course, one of my labels that I deal with, Defected. Their party was last night. Great. Had a chance to see my buddy Dennis, and it was beautiful. On top of that, we did Disco Express out of Paris. They had a party yesterday also. And the day before yesterday, I did a Italy/Chicago party with Georgie Porgy. Tonight, I have a party, the Love Team, right. That's going to be tonight. I'll be there tonight around late, about 2:30 to 4. And then tomorrow, we have the closing event with Soul Clap. I've been trying to support everybody.
I know you have. I can absolutely confirm
I've been everywhere.
that.
I've been from Rush Hour to the Web to I can't even pronounce all the names.
Have you gone to bed?
No, well, yeah. I try to get up a little bit earlier, but we get up and it'd be like about 2-3 o'clock already. So I'd be like,
we got to get going.
Right. We got to go.
Well, look, how's things back home in Chicago? You're probably keeping busier than ever back home. How's things back home?
Man, Chicago's great, man. Always, we always have a lot of support with a lot of international DJs and people that's coming in and having the great events and shit. So outside of that, I have a lot of new music coming out of Chicago and other places. So be on the lookout for my new album. It's coming soon. I have a new Defected record that's coming soon and Glitterbox record. I'm not going to speak on that one yet because we almost finishing up the vocals for that.
Yep.
And I have some remixes that I'm doing, Ty Terry for his label. And just a lot of other stuff, man. Just keeping busy. And plus my own label. I have House for Life Records.
Baby.
Yeah. So I got a lot of good things coming.
Excellent. That's always great news to hear, my friend. Well,
yes, sir.
I picked up on something last night. I was watching Brian Tapper DJ, and he actually, this is the truth, he played this record. I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. And I could see your face, and I could see his face.
Right.
And I knew something was going on. I was like, what's going on here? I was like, that's Stacey's track. I could just tell by the body, that's Stacey's track.
Right.
And I'd never heard it before. So tell us, what track was that?
Well, it's Viola Sykes.
I do remember Viola Sykes.
She did a song called He Is Lord on Silk Recordings back in 2001. I always loved that record, so about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I hit up Steve, like, man, send me the vocals, I want to do a remix and put out on my remix compilation album. So he sent it to me, and that was the result of it. So,
wow.
And it's been going great. It's been hitting top of the charts. And then Brian, of course, fell in love with it, and he started doing his little tinkering. And he hit me up, hey, man, can I get the stems? I want to. So I'm like, yeah, I got you. So
for sure.
So yeah, he knocked it out the park. He did a good job.
I can see or hear why you fell in love with it. What an amazing track. And I'd never heard it before.
Yeah. Well, you have to hear the original. The original is so gospel-y. It's like keys, and he took little pieces of, but it's way more. It's like it's crazy. Yeah.
Okay, well I'm gonna give you the choice then. I want to play that record for everybody back home listening to this show, right?
For sure, yeah.
But you want to go with the original you just talked about, or do you want to go your edit?
Yeah, the original would be better.
Okay.
And after that, you play that if you want.
You know what? That's a deal. Because I haven't seen you in a long time, and anything for you.
Sure.
Anything for you.
Show mad love to Brian too, because he knocked it out with
sure
the
did.
remix. Yeah.
Stacey, it's great to see you.
For sure.
And the lovely Kay as well, might I say.
Yes,
it's great to see you guys hanging out and doing your thing. I'm here for a little while longer. I'm sure we'll see each other again.
Yes, sir. I want to say one more thing.
Sure.
We have a cruise coming up. A Europe cruise. It's leaving out of Rome. It's a Greek cruise. House for Life Nation. It leaves June 15th, 2025 to the 22nd. So if you guys want to attend and be part of it, check out houseforlifenation.com with a number 4, House for Life Nation, and click on cruise at the top. And
especially if you're in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're in Europe, it'd be great. We're doing a 7-day cruise, so it should be wonderful.
You might know already. Do you know what cities or countries are taking in?
Yeah. We're doing, of course, it's leaving out of Rome. We're hitting Mykonos, Greece, Santorini, Greece, Turkey, and Naples. And then we coming
Sounds
back
lovely.
to Rome. Yeah.
Sounds lovely with some great music all the way.
Yes, of course. You know, all Stacy Kidd stuff, man. It's a House for Life Nation event, so I'm gonna be on the deck. Some of my label partners be on the. We got some surprises, so it should be kind of nice. Yes.
Well, you can't say you haven't given us a lot of notice for that one, so that's happening in 2025 in the summertime.
Right.
Great to see you, my friend. Really, and
sure.
thank you so much for talking to us because I know you're busy.
Yes,
I really do.
no, you my man. We got history.
I know we do. But look, it's great to see you. Great to talk to you. Let's go party.
All right.
And let's play the original of this Viola Sykes, and then we play your one.
Yes, sir. House for Life. Let's get it.
Lord, oh Lord, I've got to praise your name. Oh Lord, yeah. If you trust in the Lord and believe in His word, He will provide all that you need. He will. And so much more. And if you just keep the faith, He will guide your every step. For He is Lord Almighty. If you trust in the Lord, you gotta believe in His word. You gotta have faith that you need. And so much more. And if you just keep the faith, He will guide your every step. For He is Lord. I can remember when I was all alone, couldn't trust anyone, no one to call on. But days became a nights and my soul would roam, lost without a home. Hey. And when I couldn't take it no more, the Lord sent someone to me, saying, you cannot make it on your own. I know a man. Do you want to know him? And I said, yeah. If you trust in the Lord, believe in His word, He will provide all that you need. And so much more. And if you just keep faith, He will guide your every step. For He is Lord. He is Lord. He is Lord Almighty. I trust Him. In His word, He leadeth me down the path of righteousness. And if you trust, and I'm gonna follow Him. Oh yeah. For He is Lord Almighty. Since Jesus came into my life, the Lord has been blessing me abundantly. My eyes can see the light and my mind is free from the bondage Satan had on me. Release me, and as the tears run down my face, I can shout and sing hallelujah. 'Cause this God is ever knowing, all showing, and I've got to sing. If you trust in the Lord, And I
thinking, guys, there's a lot of new experiences this year, right? We didn't get to do our kind of closing pancake breakfast, probably because I'm going to be gone tomorrow morning anyway, right? But you guys are on the salads. What's with the salad?
Healthy.
We don't have any healthy stuff, so we decided to take all the healthy stuff today, right?
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, while we're having our kind of vegan, our vegan closing party, while you three are together, because I know you got to drive home real soon, Danny. It's going to take you about 4 days to drive back to Switzerland. Samo, you're going to be hanging on. Alec, you're going to be hanging on probably till tomorrow as well. But I know a couple of things are still happening, but I wanted to do a little quick wrap-up of ADE 2024 because we've all been hanging out together from day one and doing loads of things. I've been down with all of you guys doing separate things, and here we are coming all the way back together at the end of, or nearly the end of ADE 2024. I'm going to start with you real quick.
Okay.
Because you were the last person on ADE 2023, last year's show. We were hiding from a pretty bad rain, wind storm.
Yes,
in fact, we were taking shelter from a wind and rain storm, but I think we were in a very different position last year than we are this year with you.
I think so.
How have things changed this year?
Massively. We were just talking about it actually, that I came here last year, no expectations, obviously trying to connect with people from our, from our community of industry peers. And I didn't have any expectations for this year, but I honestly feel like, I've come leaps and bounds, and there's just so many things happening, and there's so many projects in the pipeline, which is the result of the connections from last year's ADE. I think it's brilliant. I keep pinching myself, to be honest. I was quite emotional. We shed a few tears with Samo today.
Why? Why? What happened?
I don't know. So obviously, Samo and Danny, came to my gig yesterday at the Vic for the Paharas Musica, and we dropped for the first time ever live my track coming out sometime. Can't reveal exactly when, but it's a collab between Flambe, Richard Enshaw, and myself, and we feel like it's a very, very special track. And it was nerve-wracking for me because it was the first time performing in years, especially as in a solo kind of entity, not as AM to PM. And we dropped that track, and I felt like it just resonates. It touches people. There's something very, very special. And and we just started talking about it. We just started crying, which is really bizarre. But I feel it's like a
release.
Like a release.
Yeah.
Release, of difficult year, very difficult year. Like for personal reasons, and I came here, I wasn't even sure if I'll be able to be here this year. But then I did, and everything seems to be falling into place. We talked about some projects last year.
Yeah.
A lot of what we talked about has already happened.
Amazing.
I was already in the studio. We talked about collabing with Sub Junior. I literally cut two tracks with Sub Junior on Thursday. Within the space of 5 hours, you were there.
Yeah.
I met Craig last year at ADE. This year I already had a release with him, do you remember? And now this new track, which I'm not going to name because I can't drop names at this stage, but it's going to come out, and I feel like it's going to be very, very special. I managed to perform at Taste the Music Party last night. Decided to re-release an old EP with Seb Skalski of 2 tracks we did 11 years ago, and they actually sound more current now than they did back then. So we did some PAs of that, which is bonkers. Today, dropped those 2 tracks at the Phoenix Music, Phoenix Records, event at the Vic. There's just so many things happening.
It's gonna be non-stop for you, actually.
To be fair, now that I think about it, this is probably my busiest ADE I've ever had.
Ever.
Yeah, five gigs.
But I have just comparing it to last year. I think that's fantastic. In 12 months, you know what I mean?
And do you remember how I wasn't sure, and because obviously you're a musician for as long as you feel music is in your heart, and I felt like music was in my heart, but you kind of lost. You're not sure what to do, where to go. Are you still relevant? Is there still space for you within the industry? But I gotta be honest, I've never felt more embraced by the industry that I have now. And it's a genuine connection with a lot of people, and I consider everyone here my dearest and nearest, and fuck makes me choking up again. Sorry, I just swore.
It's okay. Stop crying into your salad. It doesn't work. You gotta cry into your beer, not your salad.
Yeah.
That's the best seasoning. I felt so much love yesterday at the Vic. I've seen grown men cry, and that says something. I feel like when something is genuine and it comes from like a really raw emotion in your heart, and it's true and it's raw, it just touches people, and I feel like I'm doing something that, you know, I have the privilege of doing something that actually is touching people, but also is an emotional outlet for me. I think it's the best medicine that I can have at the moment. And I'm just blessed and grateful that I can keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm so excited about what future holds. And us sitting at this table, or maybe somewhere else in a pancake place, you know, in 12 months, and discussing what's happened since this ADE. Because I honestly feel, and I don't want to jinx things, so touch wood, whatever that is, but yeah. But I'm just super optimistic and like full of hope. But also I can see the bright light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, you're not quite finished yet. I'm going to get to that in a second. I don't know, we touched on it earlier. We were talking to Matthew Brady, but you're going home, Danny. You're actually hurrying home. You want to get home as quickly as possible because you got to get working on something that we were, of course, documenting a little earlier in the show.
Yeah.
You're excited.
Yeah, I am really. So I'm excited to get him back home because we recorded John Julius Night yesterday. Yeah. It was kind of way to get there because it was hard to catch him.
Yeah.
Because
there was almost a documentary type of feel to that. We should have really filmed that whole chase around Amsterdam, try to find JJK.
Yeah.
And the result is you get a track at the end of it, you know.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. So But look, at the end, it was fine. We saved some money. We didn't had to rent the studio. We did all in his hotel room, which is really nice, in a good environment, with good gear, and we have a really good end result. Now the next steps are just finishing cutting that vocal recordings, send it over to John Julius to make sure everything sits there where he wants it to sit. Sending over also to you to check about the lyrics, if everything sits there where it needs to be. And finishing that record, and then let's see what happens.
Well, bar that obviously big event we had with John Julius, did you have fun this year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, except of that, I mean the obvious party stuff like, you know, iCulture, Andy Reid stuff. We had a nice dinner yesterday evening with you and Joe from King Street, some nice chat. I mean, it's always a really pleasure with my friends here to sitting together and having all these conversations, which Alex already mentioned.
Well, we were kind of the last soldiers at ADE last year. Same, we were down with PerQX actually, and Ida Flow or Rita Flow. So we were just observing. This year, this is what I was going to get to. You and Alex are actually going to do the same thing tomorrow. With Per. So tell us a bit about that.
Per, yeah. So Per and I are working on a track for a year already, but somehow we never really get it finished.
We were just waiting on Alex, obviously.
We were waiting on Alex, yeah. Exactly. So I let her listen to the track a couple of days ago, and she was like, yeah, I love this. And we ran into Per, and we were like, well, now we're here. Let's rent a studio and let's go for it. So it's too bad that you're already gone then, because...
Well, you know, I'll hear the end result at some point.
Definitely.
Which is brilliant.
You'll be the first to hear it, as always.
Well, look, I've kind of been looking at everything going on and to a degree documenting everything that's been going on in part. And this is the first ADE in 11 ADEs I've done that I've seen such creativity happen on the spot, right? Yeah. Where people, you know, we talked about it when we were up with you and Seb, Alec, where it's quite an intimate thing. But to get a real glimpse into that was a real privilege for me, and to see, you know, because I play all you guys' music, right? So I play the end result of this a lot, but to see all that process happening for me was something really different for me this year. And I really appreciate you all letting me in on that, by the way. I really do. And because I know it is quite an intricate and intimate process, so to be part of even just observing that was a real honour. But it's the first time I've ever seen that. Maybe last year we didn't really see Ida Flow and Per working together, but I saw you guys do it this year, and that was... Because we're going to hear the end result of this in a couple of weeks to months, you know. So when I play these records, I'm going to maybe hark back to these chats we've had, or these making-ofs, I guess. When we back. So listen, thanks for being part of my ADE and everyone listening to tonight's ADE experience and getting a real, at least audio glimpse into what's been going on with you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of the show, as always. I'm sorry we didn't get our pancakes this year, but your lovely stale bread and fresh leaves look brilliant.
But we did have cheese this year, right?
You what?
We did have cheese this year.
We had a lot of cheese. Hang on a second. We started off with a wheelbarrow of cheese, and we have now kind of slid down the scale to like salad and croutons. So, you know, we kind of did it backwards.
Get back in shape. Yeah. Get back in shape when you go home.
Well, look, yes, so good.
Next year, extra pancakes then.
Yeah, we'll do a pancake catch-up next year, as in catch-up on the pancakes we missed this year. So
Let's
double.
do it.
Double. And no
do it.
cheese next year.
No cheese?
Okay, no cheese next year, no.
The best is to do pancakes next year at the start instead of cheese.
Yeah.
And then if we...
And then we end with cheese.
We end with cheese, yeah, next year.
Well, safe travelling because I'll be gone, but safe travelling to all you guys. Best of luck with everything you have been working on, and I know we'll all catch up probably before this time next year, but that pretty much wraps up ADE 2024 for me, and I guess for you guys almost. So it's good night from Amsterdam, and 2024 is ADE.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. See you next year.